Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Today we look at a pair of murderers who stabbed a caring dad of 3 to death outside his home have now been jailed for life. The dangerous and violent killers stared straight ahead and showed no emotion as they were told they would serve at least 19 years in jail for the murder of Darren McCormick. Sentencing Judge Ian Pringle QC went on to slam the scourge of knife crime, which he said had led to a desperate and unceasing waste of human life. In an emotional tribute to the family of the slain 44-year-old, said that their lives had forever changed and the grief is overwhelming. Brookton Lagan, 19, of Robin Way, Didcot, and Taison Cyrille, 19, of Market End Way, Bicester, had denied murder and went on to trial at Oxford Crown Court. They were convicted of the killing and also found guilty of 2 counts of wounding with intent upon 2 men and Mr. Cyrille of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. During the trial, the jury heard that murder took place in the early hours outside an address in Mendip Heights, Didcot, where Mr. McCormick, known as Dizzy, had been living. Prosecutors said that he had been a recreational drug user with cannabis and crack cocaine, the preferred drug of his choice. It was said that the triple stabbing could be traced to an earlier row and ensuring drugs debt between Mr. Lagan and a friend of Mr. McCormick's. This was described to the jury as a trivial and relatively minor disagreement between the 2 sides. During the attack that followed, the violence was described as happening very quickly, and afterwards the men were said to have driven off after discarding knives, 3 of which the police later seized. One of the 2 other victims of the brawl was stabbed in the head and another man received a stab wound to the leg. Mr. McCormick, the jury was told, received a number of injuries to his arms and his right hand, as well as defensive injuries. The fatal injury was a stab wound to the chest, which was described as 10 centimeters deep and which caused damage to his heart. He was taken to the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, but at 4:56 AM he was declared dead. At the sentencing hearing, Judge Ian Pringle QC blasted what he called the scourge of knife crime that had plagued the country over the last 20 years. He said that the national epidemic of carrying knives had led to a desperate and unceasing waste of human life. It was also said that the efforts to discard the weapons were amateurish in the extreme. Both men were jailed for life with a minimum sentence to be served of 19 years for each. Speaking after the sentencing, Senior Investigating Officer Detective Chief Inspector Stuart Blake of the Major Crime Unit praised the victim's family. They bravely sat through 8 weeks of court proceedings and had to endure reliving in detail the circumstances of Mr. McCormick's death, as well as having to patiently wait for this case to get to Crown Court during the global pandemic. No conviction or sentence that was passed down in court can ultimately heal the pain of losing a loved one in such needless circumstances, but I do hope that now the case has concluded it can provide the family with some consolation that proceeds are now over and they can begin to slowly move on. Mr. Lagan and Mr. Cyrille are clearly very dangerous and violent men who murdered Darren McCormick completely unnecessarily. Following this, they tried to flee the country by flying to Amsterdam. Thankfully, quick work from our officers meant they were apprehended at Luton Airport and charged 24 hours later. Following the sentences passed down, they will no longer be able to pose a threat to our communities. This case has demonstrated the tragic consequences that can arise from carrying knives. Serious violence and knife crime causes pain and misery, and the Thames Valley VRU is dedicated on its mission to tackle it via prevention, intervention and enforcement. So what are your thoughts about this murdering pair who took the precious life of a caring dad after attacking him? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.